Hello and welcome to The Power of Podcasts, a special program from Axiom, examining the latest developments in the use of podcasts for internal communication. Today we'll be finding out why so many major organisations are turning to podcasts to get their message across to employees. We'll check out some of the novel ways that podcasts are being used today, and we'll hear direct from one multinational whose podcast cut through all the noise to grab the attention of a global workforce. But first, let's go back to basics and listen to the potency of the human voice. Picture this. If JFK had sent an email to an audience of thousands at Houston's Rice University in September '62, it would have come across something like this. However, the reality was this.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Simple words transformed into a persuasive message. But it doesn't all have to be power play. There's no better way than actually speaking to convey human experience.
I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again.
And when it comes to passion, nothing else compares.
All my life, all my conscious energies have been dedicated to the most noble cause in the world, the liberation of the human mind and spirit.
Power, humanity and passion, all best conveyed by hearing a communicator's voice, which you can do through podcasting. So what exactly is a podcast? A podcast is an audio file you download from a website or company intranet onto your computer, tablet or smartphone, and then you listen to it when and where you like. It can be a one-off or a series of episodes that you subscribe to so they get downloaded automatically as soon as they're available. And of course, you've probably noticed that podcasts can also come with visuals. Okay, those are the basics. Now it's time to find out what all the fuss is about. What makes a podcast so special in the field of employee engagement? Here's Axiom's digital expert, Helen Reinson.
The great thing about podcasts is that they have the immediacy and impact you get when you're hearing from someone in person. But they can still reach thousands of employees across the world, even over an extended period of time. And that's why they're so valuable for bringing corporate messages to life. You can hear the personality and the passion of the different contributors. What we're talking about here is exploiting the power of the human voice. It's often a welcome change to the morass of emails, reports, and other written materials that people have to wade through day after day. And that's probably why, when companies start podcasting, it creates such a surge of interest.
So that's the case for podcasts in a nutshell. And unlike the early days of podcasting, it's obviously no longer just an audio medium. There's also the option to add accompanying visuals like infographics and photos and simple bullet points. Here's Helen again.
The most compelling communication brings audio and visual content together in an integrated package. By adding graphics to podcasts, we can get across complex ideas in a really clear way and make key messages memorable over the long term.
So there's more to podcasts than first meets the ear. In fact, these days, progressive companies are finding all kinds of uses for the medium. Axiom consultant Miles Henson.
Well, in the last few years, I've seen quite a few approaches emerging. Some clients use a single podcast to help announce a major change. That can give employees a chance to hear directly from one or two senior leaders about what's coming. It also provides a platform for leaders to reach more of the organisation and for people to get to know them better. Other companies have a regular magazine-style podcast that keeps people updated on all kinds of news and issues. It can work like a really good radio show with a presenter and a range of guests. There's scope for including the ideas and opinions of frontline staff from all levels of the company across sites and countries. Everyone loves to hear from someone they know. You can also set up hard-hitting interviews where senior leaders have to answer the tough questions everyone out in the business is asking. So when we're helping clients with their conferences and events, we encourage them to use a podcast to cascade the resulting key messages to the rest of the company. It's an easy way to help everyone feel informed and included. We found it goes down really well when you record short vox pops from participants. It conveys some of the buzz of the event. We've even created podcasts to set the scene at the start of a conference call or web meeting. We then follow up by running a live Q&A for everyone on the call. And if you really want to get maximum value, you can go the whole hog and record and edit the Q&A and package that up as a podcast for the rest of the business.
A plethora of podcast possibilities then. So if that's piqued your interest, what next? Well, you're probably going to need some creative and technical support, and that's where an agency like ours can come in. With me to discuss the practicalities is Axiom's Lorna Thomas. First of all, Lorna, what is Axiom's pedigree in the podcasting field?
Well, we've been making high-quality audio programs since way back in the mid-90s. First it was audio tapes, then CDs, and now it's podcasts. Whatever the format, all our audio output has always been made to the highest professional broadcast standard. So that's both technically and editorially by experienced radio producers.
And how does that all work in practice? How does Axiom actually help its clients?
Well, we can do as much or as little as clients want. To start with, we can advise on the overall approach. That includes the format and style, and whether it's a one-off or a series of podcasts. We often storyboard the programme and write the scripts, or come up with challenging interview questions. And we can bring in a professional presenter to add a bit of panache if necessary. Of course, we'll do the recording, either in person or over the telephone for our international contributors. When it comes to the visual reinforcement of the messages, we then source or create eye-catching images and graphics. And then we edit it all into shape and send the finished podcast, once approved, to the client to upload to their intranet or a secure website.
And what about for international companies? How do you overcome language barriers?
Well, we often translate the audio content and add subtitles, as well as translating text in the visuals. Or we can record in different languages from the outset. For some clients, we've produced 6 foreign language versions of their podcast.
But just because you've made a great program, it doesn't necessarily mean that people will listen to it or even know about it.
That's very true. But we don't just leave clients to go it alone. Because we're a full-service agency and not just an audio production company, we can create all kinds of communication to drive up awareness and adoption of the podcast. That might be, for instance, by direct mail, banners on the intranet, instant messaging, plasma screens, or even posters on the wall.
So those are the mechanics of how to create a high-impact, cost-effective podcast. To finish today, let's go right to the coalface and hear what difference podcasting is making to the multinational medical products company Hartmann. Here's their head of communications, Anne Halverson, speaking from her office in southern Germany.
When we launched our new strategy, we took a multi-channel approach to reaching about 10,000 employees globally. We ran a major management conference and followed up with team briefings, video, and print. And for the first time, we also tried a podcast and found that podcasts got a lot more traction and downloads compared to regular intranet articles. So we are now producing an ongoing series of podcasts, which help us keep our key messages alive and really keep people engaged.
So, a ringing endorsement for the power of podcasting. If you'd like to know more, then get in touch with Axiom by phone, email, LinkedIn or Twitter. That's all for now. Thanks for listening.